Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes? Matt here from YoVideogames, and I'm back here with a new mini-series of videos to talk about the state of gaming as it is in 2025, but more importantly, what I want from each and every big publisher going forward into next year, into 2026, and even beyond. So without further ado, let's just talk about the big guy in the room who basically does what they always do and gets away with it every single time, and that's Nintendo. Had a big old 2025, launched a brand new system, and yeah, like that was, normally this would be sort of like a banner year for them, or a year of like, some of the most, genre defining, industry setting, standard setting games. But I don't really feel that happened this year with the Switch 2. I mean, it's a good system, don't get me wrong, but like, I think a lot of us were pretty disappointed with Mario Kart World. It ain't bad. It's all right. It's fine. But, not even getting into the $80 price point on standalone, it kind of doesn't feel like it really did a whole lot to push Mario Kart as a series forward. Yeah, it changed to this, it tried this open world formula, but I don't really think it really mattered that much. I don't think it added a whole lot. It kind of made races, like, unless you were playing Knockout Tour, it made a lot of the standard GP races kind of, I don't know, lame to sort of drive to an area and do one lap. It didn't do it for me, and I know a lot of people kind of feel the same way. It's a good game. It's a good game, but it ain't a great game. It ain't Breath of the Wild. It ain't Mario 64. It ain't Ocarina of Time, something like that. It's not something that's going to be like influencing the genre for years to come. But it's okay, because luckily after that, a month later, we got Donkey Kong Bonanza, which was fantastic. But yeah, going into 2026 though, what I really want is, I'm hoping Nintendo kind of gives me a lot of sort of reasons to be happy with my $500 purchase of the Switch 2. And what I mean is that, like, yeah, $500 is a lot of money to spend on a console, even in the best of times, and we're certainly not in the best of times right now. So, I want to feel like I'm getting my money's worth out of the console, and so far, I don't really feel they did a great job in 2025 with that. Two of their big holiday titles are cross-gen. Pokemon this month is on Switch 1. Metroid Prime 4 in December is on Switch 1 and runs at 60 on Switch 1. November we get a third Hyrule Warriors on Switch 2 exclusively, and we get Kirby Air Riders exclusively, which is great for, I guess, Kirby Air Rider fans. But for the rest of us, it kind of feels it does feel a little like, I feel like Nintendo, it's a weird launch year, a weird first 6 months for a brand new Nintendo console for sure. And even Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, as good as they are, especially Bonanza, you kind of feel the roots of it being a Switch 1 game, because it was originally a Switch 1 game. They worked on it for years as a Switch 1 game. They literally shown it. So you can kind of see how it was a juiced up Switch 1, or maybe even a mythical Switch 1 Pro game that got, juiced up to be put on Switch 2. For both of those titles. And yeah, they're nice, but like, man, it's weird that we live in a world right now where the two most impressive, maybe three going by December's releases, most impressive games on the Switch 2 are from Ubisoft and CD Projekt Red. I'm talking about Star Wars Outlaws and Cyberpunk 2077. These are the most impressive ports on the system. In fact, they're two games that actually use the super sampling features of the Switch 2, and none of the Nintendo first-party games have actually used that. So one of like the big key features to make the Switch 2 run next-gen games, PS5 exclusive titles on the Switch 2, somehow miracle port them. The feature that enables a lot of this is not even being utilized by Nintendo proper. So in a sense, and that's why I think we're getting games that, like, Mario Kart World and DK Bonanza, they look good. They look better than a Switch 1. They look like they look much beyond that, but they also don't look earth-shattering. And I think this also applies going into next year too, where Fire Emblem looks like a good Fire Emblem game, but it doesn't look like anything the Switch 1 couldn't handle. I'm sure it'll run better, of course, but yeah, like, especially when you see the gameplay footage, like what little is actually there in that Fire Emblem trailer. When you see the in-game, this is what it looks like moving your character around the screen playing the video game, it didn't look any better than a Switch 1. And again, it's other games like Yoshi and the Amazing Book, they look nice, but the Switch 1 could have done that in its sleep. And Mario Wonder, it's getting multiplayer mode. Yeah, Switch 1 surely couldn't have done multiplayer for Mario Wonder. I don't know. Right now, it feels like Nintendo is playing it very safe, and maybe there's something to be said for that, where, hey, we don't spend a ton of money on our games, which is why we're able to, like, not lay people off. It's why we're able to have like a whole lot of games kind of like come out at a consistent clip, which other publishers can't do. And that's all true. But on the other hand, you still charged me $500 for your new system. You still charging $90 for a freaking controller, for a pro controller. You're still charging $55 for a camera, which has barely been talked about since it came out for the thing. So you're charging a lot for a system that's got tech under the hood, as we've clearly seen, but you're not utilizing it, but you're still charging me $70. And you had the audacity to charge $80 for Mario Kart World and are basically threatening to charge $80 to other games going forward. Ooh. If anything, what I want to see Nintendo actually really push the system. Now, it's not really their forte most of the time, but again, we do have games that do kind of push them. We are many years away from Zelda. We're not going to see a new Zelda next year. I'm not expecting it. And yeah, of course, do I want to see a new Monolith Soft game this year? Of course, that's true every year. That goes without saying. But either way, like if not from the usual suspects, I would like to see something from Nintendo, multiple projects in 2026 that are like, these are Switch 2 games, these are ground-up Switch 2 games, these are not games that we kind of just put on the system. I'm sure Tamagotchi Life and Rhythm Heaven Groove will be fun, but again, these are Switch 1 releases, and it's another one of those like, cool, I'm glad the Switch 1 is still getting support because there's over 150 million of them out there. But on the other hand, for those of us who did spend 500 U.S. American dollars or more if you're in other parts of the world, I think it'd be nice to see the hardware sort of utilized a little bit. Again, I don't want games to, like, artistically, I don't want a game to look like Star Wars Outlaws, but I would like to see a game push tech like Star Wars Outlaws, because Ubisoft realism, but combine the tech of Star Wars Outlaws with the artistic integrity of a Nintendo franchise, almost any given one. Bam, a winner for success there. Then now I feel like I spent $500. It was well worth it. So that being said, yeah, next year, I really want to see some games that like make it like, okay, this is why you spent $500, not, well, we're just gonna keep making Switch 1 games and they'll run a little better. Thanks for the $500. Thanks for the $500 bill stacks. But anyways, that's what all I gotta say about Nintendo in 2026. Obviously, again, yes, I'm the Monolith Soft guy. I want to see a Monolith Soft game, but that's going to be true every year. That's not something I'm going to sit there and be like, I want this, give me what I want. Yes, give me what I want. But also realistically here, like, hey man, if Next Level Games is going to show off, like, say, a new Punch Out, that won't happen. Or a Luigi's Mansion 4 that's like this huge graphical, oh my god, excellent. Yes, give it to me. I would just like to see that. Like, I just want to see. I want to see Nintendo, if not, like, okay, they don't have to push the hardware, I'm guessing, but, like, man, at least make it feel like I'm getting my $500 worth, It's just weird that Assassin's Creed Shadows and Cyberpunk and Star Wars Outlaws are, like, the graphical showpieces, and they're just late ports. But either way, that's what I want from Nintendo 2026. Let me know what you want to see from Nintendo in 2026, and I'll see you on the channel. Later, dudes.